Thank you for joining us today. I'd like to welcome everyone to today's webinar, Hands-On with Spirin, Designing Your GDPR Article 30 Data Inventory. So at this time, I'd like to introduce our presenters, Scott Giordano and Corey Rutherford. Scott is a highly regarded data privacy attorney with over 20 years of experience and currently a vice president of data protection at Spirin. Welcome, Scott.
Thanks, Doug.
And Corey Rutherford is a senior solutions architect, and he will be providing information about Spirin as well. So welcome, Corey and Scott.
Thanks for having us.
Okay. Before we get to Corey's presentation, which really is the substance of this entire webinar, I did want to talk very briefly about why we're even having this discussion. And largely it's because GDPR requires a records of processing of the personal data in your organization. That's cited twice, once in Recital 82, GDPR, and then also in Article 30, hence why we tend to call these things an Article 30 Records of Processing Activities, or a ROPA. Sometimes we call it an Article 30 Data Inventory, but the net of it is that it's always designed to do the same thing, identify personal data as it's defined in GDPR, and find it wherever it exists in your organization and be able to account for it. And Doug, if we go to the next slide, I will show you a sample, and it's a very tiny sample, but it's a sample of a data inventory. And this is about 2 lines of a probably 100 or so line document that I created when I was with Robert Half Legal, and Robert Half's been very kind in allowing me to reproduce this. I've changed the names to protect the innocent, but it's a real data inventory. And if you notice on the area that's in red, that it represents different kinds of personal data, the kind of personal data that we find with Spirion. And so this is an example of how your data inventory may look. And so, Corey, you're going to show us a little more in depth on exactly how we get there from here. Corey, do you want to switch over to the presentation?
Yeah, so exactly, Scott. Whenever we are trying to attain or meet a regulation requirement, part of the process, especially as it applies to GDPR, is the ability to identify and locate the various types of information in your environment. And part of that process that Spirion offers is the ability to basically set up the IT component of what you've spent time around the table discussing and things like that. So part of the discussion that you have around GDPR and other regulatory requirements is the types of data that you need to locate, the scope of that data, where the data is actually located, what's in scope as far as it applies to the EU, GDPR, and other regulations. So part of that process is inventorying your data anywhere and everywhere. So what we're looking at here is basically an example of the type of inventory you can expect when you're using Spirion to do that. So Spirion, basically, the way you tool this environment is that you basically set up the scope of what you want to locate as far as the data. You define the types of data you're looking for. This is typically going to be addressed during your meetings with your various regulatory bodies, the DPAs, so your assessors, other individuals like that. And Scott, if there's anything you need to fill in, feel free to interject as well. So as part of that process, ultimately what ends up happening is you drive a process through this discovery and you attain matches that you see here. So this is a report on the different types of data that have been located within any organization. In this particular case, I was looking for particular data elements that are applicable to my organization when it comes to the GDPR. So for example, I'm looking for various data types that include things like phone numbers. I'm looking for things that include addresses, perhaps VIN numbers for vehicles, driver's license numbers, things like that. So anything that may be applicable to the types of data you're trying to capture and identify within your organization. So one example of the output is what we see here. So within Spirion, it's a web accessible environment that has various tabs across the top here. And what we're looking at here is a view of results. From this results pane, you can gain insight into the various properties of the data that have been identified. So when you see data within this view, you're actually seeing sensitive data, the data that has been identified as the sensitive data that's applicable to the types of search you had implied. In this case, it happens to be GDPR related. You can see various attributes of the file. The first time the information was discovered, you can see the most recent scan. So this basically validates the audit process. You can see the endpoint names. The endpoint in this case happens to be the data repositories. So your data repositories are obviously going to be more in scope than just, let's say, a file server. It could also be scoped to database servers. It can be desktops like laptops and workstations. It could be Exchange servers. It could be SharePoint. It could be Dropbox. It could be OneDrive locations, things like that. So Spirion has the capability of being able to scope to those various data repositories. And that's important. As Scott is probably going to mention, is being able to scan across all these different data repositories to gain insight into all the pockets of sensitive data that you're trying to gain understanding of where it's actually located. So Spirion really adds that capability. You can see various data types. So as these icon overlays basically depict different types of information that I kind of briefly talked about. We'll talk a little bit more about that. Telephone number, addresses, driver's license number, VIN registration numbers, ethnicity, things like that. You can see how many matches have been discovered in particular locations. You can see the actual location, and it's a logical location. So you can actually understand if you were to sit down and actually map out to where that data is located, you can understand this. This happens to be a K location, so this is a K mount. C drive on a desktop. If it was an Exchange environment, it would be the mailbox username. It would be the folder which the data was discovered, the database table, things like that. And then you can also see classification that's been assigned as well, and we'll talk briefly about that. So every organization, either being an organization maturing or who has a mature data security process in place, will typically address or adopt some type of data classification, which Scott already kind of showed an example of that. So this is important because what that does for you is that helps you group a certain types of data into buckets of sensitivity. And that allows the organization to focus their attention on the most sensitive data in the organization versus the least sensitive. So if there is an audit and you are trying to attain some type of engagement with the GDPR regulatory body and you're trying to identify where the most sensitive data is located, you can do that. You can also do this to help to identify certain subjects and things like that. So this is a typical report you would see for the results. Something else that's important to mention is the process of data classification. So I'll go to my desktop here. I'm just going to take the perspective of an end user because this is typically important because it's your end users that typically are interacting with your data the most. Obviously, you do have databases as well where this is structured information. Your database administrators manage those environments. However, there are transactional systems that put information into those databases, and your database administrators may or may not know the types of information that are in there. So it's important to gain an inventory of what's actually in databases because typically we don't have a good understanding of that. We may understand the transactional systems, the inline business processes that are putting data into databases, but using something like Spirion basically helps augment what you think is there, and then it actually provides what really is there through those reports. Even more importantly, as part of that data discovery process, it's important to be very accurate, and that's something that Spirion does a really good job of, is being accurate for various types of data. This is an example of a data classification matrix. So this is something that Scott had already shown in a previous slide, and this is really just a high-level overview of a potential taxonomy you could adopt within an organization. So typically, organizations will have 3 to 4 data classification types, and the taxonomy or the names you give these will vary greatly. In this case, I use critical, restricted, internal, and public, and green being the least sensitive and red being the most sensitive. So hot data is kind of the way I think of it. And under each one of those is going to be a different types or groupings of data that constitute that type of sensitivity in this case. Something Spirion does a really good job of is not only reporting on the color or the type of sensitive information within the console that we saw in results, but through this process called workflow that we're looking at here, we can also create data classifications to match the type of information or groupings of information you're looking for. So in this case, we're looking for critical information, which happens to be the most sensitive information as relates to GDPR in this case. So in my GDPR environment, I'm looking for information like this: SSN. This could also include NIN and things like that, passwords, driver's license number, passport information, banking information, so financials information, and various other attributes of information I'm looking for across the data domains. So Spirion can adapt to many types of data within a single organization very well. So part of that process we use is the ability to leverage and create data classifications. Under each data classification, you can see here, we can also create a number of other regulatory type of rules that you can adopt. One of those being GDPR in this instance. So essentially, GDPR rules are very simple to build, and actually any regulatory type rule compliance is very easy to build. So you can give the workflow rule basically the types of information you want to look for. So in this case, I'm looking for nationalities, country names, vehicle registration, currency type information. Happen to be using IPv4 address and 6 that I'm looking for as well. bank account information, things like that. So this is the type of information that, as a result of the engagement with the regulatory body that's overseeing this process, has told me that I need to locate. So I'm using Spirion to augment that process. So I've already done the interviews with application owners. I've already done interviews with the DBAs or the file server, IT pros, and things like that. And I've got a basic understanding where I think my sensitive data is. So I have a generalization, an idea of where that information actually resides. But in this instance, now I'm going to gain better insight into what actually exists, where it exists. And that's this process right here. So part of this process, you can define the data you're looking for. So quite simply, I just basically said, find these data types. So I'm finding a certain type of information in this instance. And I'm looking for various information like bank account number, personal address, currency information. So you can see the different types of information I'm looking here, or sexual orientation, ethnic groups, taxpayer reference information, vehicle registration, you name it. Anything that they've identified, I need to find. So I basically add these rules from this available list of rules from my left. In this case, this mostly is around UK information because this company happens to be located in the UK. So I'm focusing on that particular data. I can focus in any of the EU countries when it comes to it, and I'll show you an example of how we do that. And I've also said, okay, I also have a list of nationalities or country names that my organization also deals with very frequently. So I want to make sure I include that snapshot of information that I know very well that we collect, and apply it to also these processes of finding this data, which we also do very well. So by combining these types of information together, you're basically honing in on a very specific type of information you're looking for. That can help drive you to actually understanding and identifying the subjects who are related to that information. So the information subject owners, or the people, the individuals that data pertains to. Corey Rutherford in this case. This is his email address. This is his personal address. This is his VIN number, things like that. So using this process right here, this really helps me understand the types of information, and it groups it into a critical classification and provides results based on around that particular workflow. There's various actions you can apply to this. The most important here that we're talking about today is the ability to classify information. So classification is a very important tool to help you group the sensitivity, or actually identify the sensitivity of different information around the organization. So that process within Spirion then allows you to then apply classification to files. So in this case, you can see I've got 4 files just sitting on my desktop here. However, you'll see that they have these icon overlays on them, so red, orange, yellow, and green. And these particular file types match my data classification matrix that I have here. So I know when I see data that's red, has an icon overlay of red, it is critical in nature, or versus green, which it's the least sensitive in nature when it comes to the types of data that I'm hoping to identify and identifying within my organization using Spirion. I can identify information that's compressed. I can identify any type of file extension. So you can see here I have a file extension .fake, which is a non-existent file type that I'm aware of in the world. That doesn't exist. We're still able to apply classification because we're still able to read into that information to understand the types of information that we're looking at. So when we are looking for information, we do this in various ways. So this is just an example of the types of information we can discover, and we'll look at the other GDPR information as well. So passwords, bank account numbers, driver's license, date of birth, things like that. This is information that almost any individual you work with from an assessment perspective of data stewardship, they're going to say these are the critical types of data we absolutely need to find in any scenario. So this is why I'm snapshotting this type of information we're looking at. These are sensitive data definitions, and this is important when you're looking for EU data or just PII data in general, and even IP data, intellectual property. So these are definitions that basically look for various types of sensitive data by looking for patterns. That leverages known validators that have indicated the presence of sensitive data previously through engagements with other organizations, real-world experience that Spirion has with these organizations. That drives a decision tree process when identifying particular types of data. We use algorithms, contextual analysis, proximity detection, and all of those validations together rule out the false hits, and it more accurately provides real results with very few false positives. And the very few false positives is what is key here. When it comes to GDPR or any type of regulatory requirement, you want to have a good assessment of the data you're looking at. Is this data really sensitive in nature? Is this really what we're looking for? And that's what's important. This is where Spirion really excels well. So when I come to look at my data in the results or through reports that I can build, I know that the data I'm looking at is truly sensitive in nature. It truly is the type of data that I'm hoping to find. And that's something that Spirion does really well. So in addition to finding that type of data that we just looked at, we also look at various types of data when it comes to GDPR, and we have several hundred types of data that we look for. And just something to point out, this is part of the whole Spirion package. So this all comes already bundled. So this is just part of it. Everything you're seeing here includes everything. So if you ever adopt Spirion, there aren't modular-based processes that you have to, enable through licensing or something like that. Everything here is what you actually get when you're using Spirion. So the part we're looking at here as this spools up is what we call the sensitive data types. So this is basically the different types of information that are identified as being sensitive in nature when it comes to the regulation standpoint, when it comes to the experiences we've had with other organizations that are hoping to meet and exceed the GDPR requirements. So this is an example of the different types of sensitive data here, and this is more specifically GDPR driven for this particular presentation. But as you can see here, we're looking for a lot of different types of GDPR information. This is an example of a set of our UK information we're looking for. As you can see, it's varied greatly. It is looking for what you would hope to find. We also include various other countries here, and this isn't all-inclusive, just a sampling of some of the GDPR data we have. So it does reach across all the EU. And there's several pages of this, as you can see. We have 465 different identity types that we look for in this particular environment that I'm working within. So it really does span the spectrum on the different types of information that you'll have to find when it comes, and as is related to GDPR and things like that. If you do not find a GDPR definition here that you do need to identify, what you can do is use something that's called the Sensitive Data Engine, and this allows you to create your own definitions. So this is a very clever approach to building definitions yourselves. And obviously Spirion or any other augmented tool is not going to have the capability to just out of the box, know all this specific data you need to locate. We've done a really good job of identifying the vast majority of it. You're always going to have very specific IP information you need to find, maybe client ID or employee ID or a subject ID or something like that. So within Spirion, we have the capability of allowing you to create some of these data definitions. So you can create keywords to find particular types of data. So if you have documents that have header or footer information, or maybe you have a revision version number you're looking for on a document as it applies to some type of collection of data, you can use a keyword to find that within a document, and then ultimately results in the results tab, and then you can actually identify by looking at that preview within there. You can use regular expression. Now, as everybody knows on the call, regular expression does do a good job of finding various patterns, but what it doesn't do a good job is validating. So you get a lot of false positives from regular expression. But by creating maybe or using an already in place regular expression using within your organization, you can combine that with some of our definitions, and what that'll do is that'll greatly increase the validation because you're using our techniques and our contextual proximity detection to help further validate that that is truly the data you're looking for, and that greatly reduces your false positives when it comes down to it. You can also use dictionary uploads. This is common when people have a relational databases and they want to combine that with information that you're searching from, like within here. You can also use exact matches if you're looking for the subject, Corey Rutherford. So you want to search for Corey Rutherford anywhere within your inventory, you can also do that as well, and various other operations. If you want to create a definition, creating definitions is very straightforward too. So for example, you're looking for, let's say you're looking for anything in particular, such as credit card information as it relates to maybe a subject, because you happen to collect credit card information for subjects and you want to combine it with some type of EU data as well. So what you can do is you can choose from the left here, social security number, and add it to search criteria. And then you can say, if you find credit card number near perhaps another definition type, so over here I can say, find it in close proximity to some type of EU data. I'm just going to pick anything that comes up here on the left. And then you can start to actually combine these various types of information you're looking for, and you can start to build your definitions around that. So if I say I want to find postcode in Canada, because obviously postcode is driven by geographic nature of things, you can say, okay, find that postcode, and you can maybe give it a name. So you can say Canada, and then post code or something like that. So now what you can do is you can leverage that data type you just created and search for that in addition to maybe something else. So you can get really clever in the way that you do data searches, things like around that. So I want to pause for a second. Doug, do we have any questions on the other end? I know in the nature of the time, we've got 6 minutes left, and I wanted to leave time for Scott as well. But I think this is probably everything that was important to cover.
No questions at the moment?
Yes, exactly. I want to interject here, and I wanted to make it clear that what we have here with Spirion is not a substitute for a DLP, but in fact complements DLP. Can you talk about how the two work together as a united team?
Yeah, absolutely. Great segue into workflow again. So in addition to being able to find a particular type of data, regulatory body, so such as I created here, part of the classification process allows you to define classification, which is extremely important for downstream operations like your data loss prevention tools, so your DLPs. So Spirion's a data at rest tool set. So what it does is data that is sitting in situ on any data repository, we do a thorough analysis of that data. And this is a key differentiator between DLPs. So Spirion does a great job of identifying the types of information very accurately, and as a result of that, you can classify very accurately. DLPs have to make decisions very quickly. So when you send an email, when you copy a file, something like that, it has to scan the information very quickly and make a best guess judgment on that information. Typically, it's around regular expressions. So you're going to get, on occasion, false positives. So Spirion really helped complement that process by using, so the DLPs can use Spirion's data classifications instead of using their own. So Spirion has a process built in where you can basically leverage an ID that comes from our data classification tags. And this is essentially what it looks like. Every DLP that's out there can look for these IDs. So when a DLP basically tries to make a decision, should I let this data leave through email to another organization and things like that, rather than relying on its own process internally, which can slow systems down, which can also, create the false positives that you commonly encounter, it can look for the ID tag instead, and then it can leverage those ID tags and make decisions based off of the classification and the accurate data detection that Spirion has leveraged and things like that. So that ultimately leads into a more refined, more desirable process when it comes to the data in motion component. So when you're trying to send data outside the organization, or when it comes to data exfiltration and things like that. But one thing I do want to point out is, in addition to be able to use that process with other DLPs, we also do have various actions that can be employed for data at rest. So if you do have data that's sitting in an inappropriate location on a desktop or within a file server or something like that, we do have remediation actions that can be applied for data at rest. So quarantining, you can move data to a more approved business location. So if you create data in, let's say, an HR folder, but it's really financials information, you can have that financials information moved to perhaps another drop location within HR or something like that. You can shred information if it's not appropriate to be on a particular device. Shredding, I commonly see in Exchange or email type environments. So if you have credit card information or sensitive information, especially around GDPR, it's probably not permitted in email, so it can be shredded, deleted where it resides in any mailbox. You can redact information. This is a great strategy when data does get moved from one location to the next. You can actually strip out particular types of information that may be in there, but leaving everything else in there. So if there are things that are GDPR related, you could essentially strip that information out of there and let it go wherever it needs to go, and however it not be in scope of GDPR, because it no longer has that information in there that would pull you in scope of GDPR. You can remove access, and then you can also execute various scripts on the data as well. So you can get very clever on how you manage the data by using batch or PowerShell script and things like that. So a lot of different things you can do when it comes to DLP nature type behaviors. Good question, Scott. Thanks for mentioning that.
Sure, absolutely. Doug, do we have any other questions or any comments? I know we've got about 2 minutes left, and I want to make sure we're staying on time here.
Sure. No questions at the moment, Scott.
Okay. Let me just wrap up with a couple items. We won't finish all these slides, but I wanted to highlight a couple things. One of the challenges in building a data inventory is finding what we call online identifiers, so things that are machine readable. You can think of log files or ad IDs, GPS coordinates, things of that nature that tend to be machine readable, but things you wouldn't normally assume are personal data, but in fact are. And this is one of the many things that we find with our Spirion technology, and it really advances your ability to complete Article 30 data inventory, which is the core of your data protection program. If you don't know where your data is, it's very difficult to protect it effectively. Conversely, when you have an effective data inventory, you know where everything is, and if something goes wrong, if there's a breach, then you know exactly what's been implicated and can turn around within 72 hours, which is what GDPR requires. So I'm going to end on that note, Doug. I know that there's more material that is in the slide deck, and our audience can certainly peruse that. And if they have questions, they can also email us in. Our contact information is in there as well.
Great. So that concludes today's webinar, and we hope you could join us again at our next webinar in about 2 weeks. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Have a great day.